Hello, and welcome back to Decoding the Flow, your podcast on creative consciousness. I'm your host, Drica Lobo, and today we are going to talk about self-image and why do you need to upgrade your self-image. So by the end of this episode, you know exactly the steps that you need to take to completely shift your entire reality. And I'm not even joking. It was this period of my life not too long ago that I was doing everything right and still getting nowhere until I realized I was trying to create a new life with an old identity. I was changing my habits. I was setting new goals, working harder, doing more, learning more, doing all of the things that I thought I was supposed to do. But underneath all of it, I was still carrying the same self-image about myself. And that's when something really clicked for me. You can always change what you do, but if you do not change who you believe yourself to be, eventually you will find yourself all the way back to the same old patterns. So today I want to talk about one of my very favorite topics, which is about self-image. How we create it and how it controls all of the decisions that we take, influencing in all areas of our life, our work, our lifestyle, everything. It's calibrated depending the way that you see yourself. So let's dive in and how you can deliberately create a new identity that is more aligned with who you are becoming. Let's start by defining what it is and self-image. It's basically the idea that you have about yourself. It's how you see yourself, the conviction that you have about yourself. And let's just be clear that most of us is still carrying a self-image that wasn't even created by us. It was probably programming from old friends, from family when we are growing up. Until we understand how we see ourselves, we are going to let this programming continuously dictating our life because, and this is important, our self-image determines how we are going to act into the world. Everything that we do, it is determined by the way that you see yourself. I'm going to use myself as an example. I used to see myself as someone not quite successful enough. I would see myself not there yet. I would see myself as someone just keep trying but never achieving what I want. So all of my actions would be filtered by this self-image that I had. Remember last week that I mentioned how I was procrastinating because someone who never achieved success enough, why do if you're not going to become successful? Also, your self-image, this idea that you have about yourself will also determine how others people see you as well. There's a good movie that talks exactly like that. I can't recall the name, but I will definitely put in the show notes. Also want to talk about the framework that I'm going to give it here. It's based on this book, Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a really old book from the 1960s, I believe, from Maxwell Maltz. He is the one who spread this idea about self-image and how it affect our life. He was a plastic surgeon and he would notice on his patients that some of the patients who just had a treatment on their face, let's say, they dislike themselves, so they go into the plastic surgery. And some people would completely change their life. They would gain confidence and they would become more friendly and they would become happier. They will achieve more things. While other who are doing exactly the same, for example, a job nurse, he would do the same type of treatment, but not change a thing. And he goes on into this research and experimentation and what happened between those two patients who actually had the same treatment and why someone would become successful after a nose job and the other one would not even notice a difference. And all of that, he came with this framework about self-image and the way that we see ourselves. It completely affects the way that we are in this world. So that's why it's really important. It's one of my favorite topics. My self-image is always an ongoing process. I think that once we are aware of the effects that the self-image have, it's really important to pay attention to the way that we talk about ourselves and the way that we hear people talking about us and our inner dialogue too, because everything is related to the way that you see yourself. A good way for you to start noticing the way that you see yourself, start paying attention to what are your secrets, wishes. Because if you wish to become somebody who is a successful artist, that only means that you don't see yourself as a successful artist. For example, if you are constantly battling to lose weight, what is your secret wish? If your secret wish that you even got tired of sharing it, that you wanted to lose weight so you can love yourself a little more, that only means that the way you see yourself is somebody who doesn't love herself. So really notice. Remember, no judgment. Everything here is experimentation. Everything here is for us to become more aware of who we are and what we want to achieve in the world. So all of this that we talk on this podcast, it is for you to evaluate, to experiment, and move forward in life to exactly the way that you want. So going back to the secret wishes, if you're honest with yourself, will definitely reveal the way that you see yourself. Also, when you look yourself in the mirror, what is your inner dialogue? This is also key to understanding how you see yourself. And keep taking notes. You can also start paying attention to the sentences that you say, I've always been this way. No, I'm not that kind of person. Of course, I could never do that. Or, of course, I'm going to do that. These are all definitions of how you see yourself in this world. And, some identities come from experience. Also, others people's opinion, old failures or conclusions that are simply outdated by now. So from time to time, it's really important to upgrade the way you see yourself. And the only way that you're going to do that, it is by understanding the way that you see yourself and write it down. What are the things that are coming out of your mouth? What are the things that you reacted to? What are the things that you do easy in life? What are the things that you're having more difficult to it? So any area of your life that you still want to upgrade, that is a really good sign that you need to upgrade your self-image. By installing the new program, like I said, all of the ways that you see yourself, that you hold that conception about yourself will determine the actions that you take in your day-to-day life. Not having big dreams or giving up because it's too hard. All of this is because you're probably holding an image of yourself that is outdated. So I'm going to show you in this video and the next part of this podcast how you're going to go about upgrading your self-image and actually make some change that it is aligned with your soul's journey. You are listening to Decoding the Flow with me, Drica Lobo. If this conversation is inspiring you, take a moment to follow the show and share it with someone who is ready to live more creatively. You can find more inspiration, art, and behind-the-scenes stories at dricalobo.com or my Instagram at dricaloboart. Now, let's take a deep breath and get back to the flow. So what is the difference between a self-image and a goal image? They are related, but they're not quite the same. And understand this, it can make a huge difference in this work for you. So for example, let's say that I am a millionaire artist, right? And if I am a millionaire artist, this is my goal image. What are the traits that I need to embody in order to achieve these results? Do you see the difference there? So the first step for you, I want you to write it down, 100 goals. And why I'm asking you to write 100? Because it's going to stretch your own ability to dream, your own ability to see yourself doing the unimaginable things that we want you to do. So once you start writing down and making a list, I don't want you to limit yourself. You can go as wide as you want. So write it down, 100 goals that you would like to achieve in this lifetime. And you can go as big as traveling the world into something very small, such as I wanted to have a chef cook for me every day, or I want to have manicure every week, or fresh flowers in my home. Things like that. I want you to list and to make 100 goals, stretch yourself. If you get stuck on the number 50, keep going. The more that you keep thinking about it, the more you are going to stretch your own imagination. And this is a good thing, because with a stretched imagination, you allow you to dream bigger. It's important that when you write it down, that you write it down in the present tense. Write it down everything on the present tense, and also really feel your way into this goal as being the reality that you want. Once you have your list of 100 goals image, I want you to circle the ones that it is related to your identity. So for example, let's say if I wanted to become a public speaker, right? What is the self-image of someone who speaks naturally and fluently in public? Is someone who is confident, someone who trusts what they're saying, someone who know exactly what they're saying and believe in their message and know that it is going to be well received. You see how we are going to achieve all of those goals? It is by understanding what are the traits that the person who already achieved that goal carries within. Let's go back to the example. If I want to become an artist who is also a millionaire, I am going to carry traits of a millionaire. What are the traits of a millionaire? She is decisive. She takes action. She is resourceful. She is smart. She has work ethic. You get, right? Going back to step number 2, you're going to get your major goals and you're going to write it down, all of the self-image related to that goal. I am not talking about surface level here. We wanted to really understand what are the traits and their characteristics. What or how someone wakes up that carries that energy that you wanted to create in yourself. This is really important. So to every goal, you can ask yourself, what belief would I hold about myself to be able to achieve this goal? For example, I love giving examples because it makes it tangible. If you want to become a morning person, first you have to observe that you're not a morning person. Once you observe, you don't criticize, you just make a decision that you want to become a morning person, right? You don't take the not being a morning person as your truth. You don't identify with it, because that's what I believe it happens with the majority of people. They take their own failures and they carry this pain so much within themselves that it becomes their identity. And all you have to do, besides forgive yourself and forgive others who made you harm, we have to stop carrying that identity. So once you do that, you remove your attachment to that identity that is not serving you. Knowing your patterns should only give you information to create with and not lock you into this permanent character. A lot of people those days carry old identities. They keep carrying this pain with them, almost like they almost don't know how to be in this world without the pain. that they've been carrying sometimes for 20, 30, 40 years. We're not trying to bypass your pain, but you need to let it go, that story that one day defined you, but this can change. And the only way that it will change is by forgiving yourself, forgiving the person, whoever it may be, and move forward in life by being your best. Step number 1 was for you to make a list of 100 goals that you want to achieve in your life. And then step number 2, you're going to get those bigger goals and you are going to identify what is that you need to believe yourself to be in order to achieve this goal. Who I need to be to become an artist millionaire that I want to be. Who do I need to become in order to create the success that I want? Who do I need to be if I wanted to public speak in different countries around the world? Who do I want to be if I want to become a bestseller? And then once you get those combined, it's very easy to see exactly where is the gap in your life. For example, I'm writing a book and I'm saying that I am a bestseller. If I affirm every single day through my self-image that I am a bestseller author, but I don't work on my book, what is happening? Disalignment, right? Completely disaligned. It is a friction, and that's what makes you feel stuck in life. When you're not moving forward towards your goals, you always feel stuck. It's different when you feel stuck for some sort of outside circumstances, but when you feel that you're not moving forward with the things that you wanted to do, this will eat you, literally, and you are going to feel worse every day. And I know that because I've been there. And all of the things that I do here today, it is because it is on my self-image scripts from last year, and I'm just following through. All right, so we have the first 3 steps. The 4th step, this is when everything gets really, really fun. You are going to write a sentence, a self-image script of who you are in the world when all of your dreams became reality. And you can use ChatGPT, but I highly recommend that you write it down with your own hands. You write it down, the script. You can always revise it with ChatGPT or any other AI. But why I recommend that you write, because I want you to, as you write, pay attention to your body sensations. I remember, and I told you many times in this podcast, that when I first said out loud my self-image script, that's when creative consciousness came online, and I was crying almost like as if I was remember something, because that is what it is. Once you pay attention to your body sensations, you can see where you still hold fear or where you see possibilities. When I pay attention to my body sensations, I know exactly what I still need to unblock in my life, what I still don't believe it is true for me. So that's why I want and highly recommend you get pen and paper and write it down. Your self-image script. This is honestly one of my very favorite things to do. I have self-images for all areas of my life. Although I don't want you to do it, I want you to start with one. Remember, self-image script. You're going to write it down, everything that you need to become in order to achieve those goals. But remember, and this is tricky, you have to write everything as if already happens. So everything needs to be in present tense and everything needs to be now. I really hope that you have super fun of this, and also avoid those vague declarations. For example, I am confident, or I am rich, or I am successful. These are really vague. I really want you to describe how this confidence person feels. How does she show up in a day-to-day work or business or personal? Describe how this confidence version of you thinks, decides, responds, works. Most importantly, how would you behave being that confident person that you want to be? Especially when nobody's watching. I guess better. Once you have your written down self-image script, once you're happy with it, you are going to get your phone and press recording. I want you to record in your own voice. You're saying out loud to yourself as if everything already happened. Record in your phone. But I hate my voice. You're going to start liking it because this is the most important aspect. It is the embodiment part. I can create 1,000 different scripts that will get me excited, but if I don't embody these traits in my self-image script, nothing will change. And that's when usually people give up, and that's why they feel stuck because they don't do the whole thing. They give up midway. And the only way that you are going to start embodying those traits is by listening day in and day out. Remember who the F that you are. Remember who do you need to show up as today, and listen as much as you can. What I did, it was kind of delulu, but I created my own YouTube video with all of the traits and everything as if I am already living in that reality that I want. And I listen day in and day out. Sometimes I'll put it when I am in the gym and I'll add the loop on YouTube. So you have to be delusional. These are the things that you can also do. The more that you keep repeating in yourself, the more you remember who you are, you start embodying this version of your best self. You start embodying this new identity that is more aligned to the person that you want to become. But again, and I think I mentioned this a few times in this podcast, it is very beautiful to do this on a daily basis and to feel that you embody by repeating the self-image script. But the only way that your brain it is going to accept this as true, it is showing evidence of this new you that you are. The fast track for you to embody those traits is by showing your brain small pieces of evidence that you are already that person. And you do really need to become that delusional, that you need to act as this person. You need to act as this brilliant person that you just wrote it down. Going back to the millionaire, is she afraid of spending money? Is she afraid of investing in herself? I don't think so. So I really want you to have so much fun with this process. Again, it's one of my very favorites, and I'm so glad that I finally sat down to make this podcast because it is going to change your entire life. If you want help with these exercises, you can download the workbook of this masterclass because this was literally a masterclass. You can download the masterclass, print it out, and do it on your own pace. All of the steps that I just mentioned. I'm also going to add the movie and the book in the show notes. Have so much fun. I cannot wait to see what is the version of you that you're going to create. It's most important that it is completely aligned with your soul's destiny. All right. Leave a comment below, download the workbook, and I'll see you next week. Bye.